Good morning, grade 10s. Give me those green check marks, you guys. If you are in Blackboard and the live classroom, please make sure you are in both. All right, so that you can obviously hear me and communicate with me at the same time. All right. Oh, can't hear me. Oh, hold on, you guys. Okay, how's that? Okay, so Jess, there's something going on with yours. Okay. Yeah, okay, so it's something going on with Jessica's. All right, so Jess, if you need to log out, log back in. All good. All right, Angelina, if you're there, Belle, give me a green check mark, please. Caitlin P, super important that I know you're actually here. Lindsay, thank you. Kirsten, give me those green check marks. Yeah, no problem, Jess. It's a coffee kind of morning, you guys. Woo! All right, so super excited. I have now fully recovered from Wee Day. I think I've gotten enough sleep over the last week to actually get back into the boy in the striped pajamas. I'm super excited, you guys. I don't know if any of you guys have recovered yet, my grade 10s who came with me. Hopefully you have. I think I'm good though. Yeah, Caitlin, seriously, it was like last night was like the best sleep I had in a week. So it's good. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I wanna jump right in. So I know last day we kind of flip-flopped back into planning and ADC, and I gave you some documents that you had to complete, right? Which was your resume, your cover letter, and your application form. Those are just different types of communication. Those are real world applications, right, to your writing skills. And that's why I've put that in this unit as well, because we're practicing our writing skills. Once we're done looking at the boy in the striped pajamas, we're gonna start learning how to write a five-paragraph essay. And that's obviously a different type. It's a more academic way of communicating. But with the resume, cover letter, application form, that is what you guys, that's real world, right? Application. So if there are any questions, please let me know. So Jocelyn, the application form was, I believe it's a Starbucks one that is in the assignment. Literally, you just have to fill it out. That's it. Fill it out, scan it back to me, right? Upload it, and then I'll take a look and make sure everything's filled out properly. Make sure I maybe give you some tips, that sort of thing. Okay. Angelina, that is completely up to you. I think the video resume, was that the challenge aspect of the resume assignment? Can you just remind me, Angelina? Yeah, I think because I do have an assignment for a video resume, but I think I was like, no, I'll just do, I think it's just the challenge aspect. So if you have time, Angelina, if any of you guys have time and you want that challenge of taking your learning one step further, feel free to complete that video resume, all right? It really is in your guys' generation where we are going with finding employment, okay? Everybody has a resume, right? We're talking about that in ADC. It's that personal branding aspect, right? And feel free, if you do end up making a video resume, please put it on your Weebly. That's a fantastic thing to showcase. Even if you don't do the video resume, if you just do the paper-based one, please still upload that to your Weebly as well. I want that Weebly to be housing everything that we are doing, right? It's a great conversation starter for your parents and anybody else that you show your Weeblies to, okay? So that's super important. But remember too that those 3 assignments, you guys, are not due until November 3rd. I've given you 2 weeks to do them, and that's on your own time. All right. So November 3rd is when I'll well, if I have time, I'll start looking at those of you that have handed it in, and I'll give you some tips if you need to look at redoing it. All right. No problem, Kyla. All right. So that is the resume, cover letter, and application. Is there any, and like I said, you guys too, make sure with your resume and your cover letter, if you already have those documents, please don't redo them. Okay, that's silly. Don't redo them. Okay, take a look at what the criteria is. Go through the checklist that's in the assignment. If you have everything, upload it. Okay, don't redo it and use our template that we have there. All right, now if you are starting from scratch and you need a template, we've given you multiple templates to use, whatever the purpose is of the resume that you want to use. All right, so please be aware of that as well, because I know some of you like already have jobs, right? Maybe you already have a resume. Don't redo it. That's pointless. Okay, so make sure that that gets in by November 3rd. All right, and like I said, I'm trying to get English marking done, you guys, and then maybe later this week, whoever's handed in their resumes, I can go through them, give you guys some tips and push them back to you for those corrections, so that when I'm ready to actually assess them, your guys' resumes will be perfect. All right? All right, so back to English. Now, we read that first, just to refresh our brains around what we were doing, right, you guys? We read the first half of The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, right? So as a group, you guys came together, you decided on what was the top 10 events, you justified it. Why were those the most important events in the novel? Okay, so that's where we were at. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna dig a little bit deeper into the novel and maybe into the plot, into the theme, right, of the first half of the novel. So we're still focusing on chapters 1 to 10. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of a different strategy today. We're going to do something called a Socratic circle. And I don't know if anybody, I'm tongue-tied. If any of you guys have actually participated in a Socratic circle before, maybe in a school that you came from or whatever, but it's going to look a little different because obviously it's online and we're not in a traditional classroom. So remember the skills that we are focusing on for this unit, right? It's all about our conversation skills through our written work, but also through actual conversation. We are leading up to conversing one-on-one, not online. Well, maybe still online, but with like video on. All right, so I'm playing around with some ideas in my head. I'm gonna try some new things with you guys later on in the next unit. All right, so good morning, Sean. All right, so here we go. We are gonna start our Socratic circle. This is a learning curve, you guys. I'm taking a risk with you guys. I'm modeling taking a risk. I hope it works out, and then we'll see where it goes from here, all right? So what I want you guys to do is I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes, okay? In those 10 minutes, each and every one of you on an individual basis are going to find a quote that you connect with from chapters 1 through 10. Just one quote. So all of chapters 1 through 10, what was one quote that you may have connected with that maybe showcases the major aspects of the story, that maybe showcases a theme that might be emerging through the novel? Remember that theme is the message that the author is trying to convey, or just something that you really connected with. It reminded you of another piece of text, another book you read, a movie you watched, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to leave it a little bit open for the first time that we do this Socratic circle. So you have to find a quote. Okay, now a quote is the significant to you, the reader. Some of you may choose the same quote, and that's totally fine. Okay, some of you will obviously connect to something different. Now, this is super, super important, you guys, right here. Do not confuse a quote and dialogue in the text. Okay? When I talk about finding a quote, I mean for you to actually find a piece of text in the novel. And by you quoting it, that makes it a quote. Okay? It doesn't have to be in quotation marks to make it a quote. Does that make sense? There can be dialogue in your quote that you're taking, but please, okay? So that's what I mean, Caitlin. So when I say dialogue, I mean someone speaking in the text, right? So there's quotation marks around when a character is speaking, right? That's dialogue within a piece of text. That's not a quote. So a quote is any piece of text that you are connecting with from chapters 1 to 10. All right? And then when you put it up into the room chat, you are going to put quotation marks around it because you're quoting it. Now, dialogue can be part of that quote. Yes, that's right, Belle. Absolutely. Yeah, that is correct. Okay? Yes, absolutely, Dean. So part of your quote could be dialogue from the text. Absolutely, that's totally fine as well. Okay? So give me a green check mark if you're clear, and then we'll get the 10-minute timer up and going for you to find that quote that you want to be able to share with everybody. Okay, so Kaylin, are you good? Good. Danica, do you understand what you need to do in the next 10 minutes? Dylan, Jess, can you hear me now? That's the first thing. Christiana, give me those green check marks, please. So I know that you're completely clear. Lindsay, Sean, are you clear on what you need to complete in the next 10 minutes? If not, please ask a question. Okay, good. Okay, perfect. Good, Jess. All right, excellent. So we're going to put 10 minutes up on the timer, you guys, and find that quote and be ready to share. All right, so go ahead and get started on that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, come on back. Okay, give me a green check mark. I bet you I can see you guys furiously typing in your quotes, right? But you need to hold on 1 second. All right, so hopefully you guys have found a quote, all right, that you have connected with. I just wanted to share mine that I connected with. Okay, so Sean, if you still haven't found one, you have a couple of minutes. Okay, so you guys have a couple more minutes. Okay, so let's do this, you guys. Who has found, give me a green check mark if you found one, give me a red X if you haven't. Okay, so those of you with a red X, you have about 3 more minutes to find one as I share mine with you. All right, because you need to be prepared for when we get to the actual Socratic circle. So as I was going through chapters 1 through 10, you guys, I wanted to share the one, I mean, there's multiple quotes that I connect with all the time, but this is one that really stood out for me, okay? And it's really short, but I think it's very, very significant to Bruno's character and the realization, it's the start of the realization that his father may not be the person who he thought he was, right? And he starts to question, and after this quote, he starts to question really who he is as a little boy and where does he fit in the world, his new world after he's moved, right? So my quote was, he's talking, just to put it in context, he's talking, having a conversation with his father, Bruno, and his father says, "Ah, those people," said father, nodding his head and smiling slightly. "Those people, well, they're not people at all, Bruno." Okay, that was my quote that I chose to be significant from the first 10 chapters. I think that says, like I said, it says a lot to Bruno's character and to his father's character, and you start to see the insight of who those people are and how Bruno's family starts to see those people. All right, so you'll notice that when I chose a quote, right, I justified it, why I thought it was significant. You guys are going to have to do the exact same thing within your significant or within your Socratic circles. Okay, so now a lot of you are probably like, what the heck is a Socratic circle? Okay, I keep using this term. That's okay. I'm going to explain it once we get there. Now, step 2 in this is, now that you've got your quote, what you need to do from the novel is actually find an image that represents your quote. How could you represent your quote in a pictorial way? Okay? And again, be ready to speak to the quote and the image. All right? Now, okay? Do the best you can, you guys. Okay? Do the best you can. That's not something that I can fix. That's your guys' local connections. Okay? Do the best you can. So I'm going to give you guys another 10 minutes to now find an image that you can share. All right? So go ahead, you guys. Another 10 minutes to find an image. And those of you that haven't found a quote, make sure you find both now. All right? A quote and an image. Go ahead. All right, come on back, you guys. Give me those green check marks so I know we are ready to move on to the next step. So we have found a quote that we found significant within the first 10 chapters, and now we've found an image that represents it, right? So this was another example that I left up for you guys. I can't remember if this was an example that one of the kids gave last year or if it was mine. I can't remember, to be honest, you guys. But this quote was from the first 10 chapters. It's awesome. What exactly was the difference, he wondered to himself, and who decided which people wore the striped pajamas and which people wore the uniforms? And that really ties in nicely to Winston Churchill, right? Because he, the famous quote, history's written by the victors, right? And that ties in so nicely to that idea of who makes those big decisions, right? And yeah, why are these people wearing pajamas and other people are soldiers? So super interesting to start thinking about that and even relating it to now in today's world. Do we still see that in today's world where history is being written by the victors? Interesting concept. All right. So this is now what we are going to do. Now we're actually going to get into a Socratic circle, the actual context of a Socratic circle. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to split into two groups. Okay. If we were in a traditional classroom, I would actually make you guys sit on an inner circle and an outer circle. Okay. But we're not in a traditional classroom. So we just kind of have to pretend that we're in the inner or outer circle. Okay, so before we do that, we need to look at the roles that you are going to play within the inner circle and within the outer circle. And you will be part of both. So just beware, you need to have both criteria down in your mind. All right? So the inner circle, you guys, these are the rules for the inner circle. Everyone must say something, okay? So that means that you have to share your quote and your image, all right? Then if you were responding to someone directly, okay, so if you want someone to explain their quote further, or you have a question for them, okay, type their name in the response. Because remember, the way that the chat works, right? It's just timed. And so if you're asking something to Caitlin, for example, but then someone else chimes in, someone might think that that comment is directed at the person above, not to Caitlin, right? So that sort of thing. So make sure if you're responding to someone directly, include their name in your response, all right? And obviously nothing rude or cruel. I think that's pretty much a given. You guys are very, very good at this. That's just a given. All right, now, that's the inner circle, okay? Those are the only rules. You have to say something. You have to respond to other people with directly, right? Use their names. And this is all occurring in the main room chat. All right, this isn't a private thing. Everybody's chatting in the main room. Okay, that is the inner circle. The outer circle, okay? While the outer circle this is the criteria for them, okay? When you are listening to the inner circle or reading the inner circle's conversation, because that's really what's going to happen. The inner circle is going to have a conversation. The outer circle, you guys don't get to do anything but listen and read. Okay? You get to do nothing. No typing, no commenting, nothing. This is super hard sometimes, you guys. Okay? You may take notes on the conversation if you want to remind yourself for when it's your turn in the inner circle. But you can't say anything during the time that only the inner circle is speaking, okay? When it's the outer circle time to speak, it's a little bit different. Again, the inner circle stays completely silent. You guys don't get to participate. But the outer circle, you are going to be looking at the process of how the inner circle conversed. You're not so much focusing on what they're saying, you're focusing on the process. Did everyone participate? Was there an actual conversation occurring? Or did everyone just type in their quotes and justification and shared their images? Okay? Again, so that is what you guys are going to do. You're going to respond to the process, not the content. Everyone has to say something. You have to commit to making a contribution. Okay? Nothing rude or cruel, again. And you cannot comment until the end. So I'm going to give a certain time limit to the inner circle to have a conversation. Then we stop. Then the outer circle gets time to comment on the process. And then we switch roles. Outer goes to inner, inner goes to outer, and we have another conversation. Great question, Caitlin. How are we going to share our images? On the whiteboard. Okay, so I'm going to give you whiteboard privilege. So you are going to share your quote into the room chat, or it's up to you guys. If it's easier, share your image on the whiteboard and put your quote underneath, right? In a text box. And then that way they're linked, right? You can see the image and the text box together. And then you can have our conversation in the room chat. I think actually that might be easier. Let's do that. So let's copy and paste our images onto the whiteboard. Let's type out or copy and paste your quote into a text box underneath your image. Then we can have a conversation and put your name, right? So that everyone knows whose image and quote we're discussing. So now this can take a little bit of time. So I'm actually going to start with 30 minutes because sometimes it takes a while for us to get our images up, for us to get our quotes up, right? That sort of thing. And then to really delve in and have a conversation. So we're going to start with 30 minutes, okay? For the inner circle to have that conversation. Remember, the outer circle, you get to say nothing. You're not sharing your quotes. You're not sharing. You're just listening to the process, okay? Does that make sense? Give me a green check mark if you are clear. Okay, and Caitlin, I will get there. That's right. I haven't split you up into 2 circles yet. Okay, so this is what is going to happen. Now I'm going to split you into, good, it looks like everyone's pretty clear. Okay, I'm going to now split you into the 2 circles. Okay, so it looks like I've got 21 of you guys in class today. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to basically split in half. All right, so Alex, Alexis, Angelina, Belle, Bryn, Cassie, Kaylin, Danica, Dean, and Dylan. You guys are in group 1. You are the inner circle. You are going to be the first to share your quotes and images. Okay? Then the second group, Emily, Jess, Jocelyn, Josh, Caitlin P, Caitlin T, Christiana, Kyla, Lindsay, Paige, and Sean and Slade. You guys, okay, I'm going to split this again. After Dylan, Emily, you're also going to go into group 1. Okay, so you're in the inner circle. So the split, if you guys look at the participant box in Blackboard, the split is between Emily and Jessica. Okay? Yes. So listen up. This is how it's going to work. Inner circle, my group 1, Alexis, Angelina, so on and so forth. Okay? You guys, I'm going to give everybody whiteboard privilege right now. You guys are going to post your quotes and your images. Remember to put your name by them. You guys are going to have a conversation, right, around each of your quotes. The second group, the outer circle, you guys get to do nothing. Okay, you are doing nothing for 30 minutes except reading and watching that conversation and what is going on. After 30 minutes, this outer circle will have 10 minutes to discuss what they saw in the happening in the inner circle. Okay? Does that make sense, Caitlin? So second group, hands off the keyboard. You do not get to say anything. Okay? So we're going to put 30 minutes up on the timer. Put your quote, everything up there. Start having a conversation in the room chat. All right? Let's try this. Ready and go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I cut you off a little bit early because I could see that the conversation was done. So before I put in my 2 cents, okay, I would like the outer circle, the second half of the participant list, to now jot down in the room chat a couple of things that you noticed around the process. You're focusing on the process, okay? Not necessarily the content, okay? You guys are not commenting on people's quotes or images, okay? I want to know what you thought of the process. What did you observe, okay, when you watched this conversation go on? That's what I want to hear, okay? So type your thoughts. I'm going to say, give you, say, 5 minutes to type your observations into the room chat, okay? Be critical if you need to. It's okay. All right, good. So exactly what Caitlin just did. All right, thanks you guys. So you have 5 minutes to put in your observations. Good. You've officially completed the first round of a Socratic Circle. All right. Now, it is super hard for me as a teacher to not jump in and get involved, right? But I have to remember this is your guys' learning journey. It's not mine. I am trying to teach you guys the skills to build on your conversational skills, right? On your communication. So here's my observations. Now is the time where I get to talk to you guys. All right. Great work on finding your quotes and your images. The whiteboard looks phenomenal, okay? You guys all did a fantastic job of justifying your quotes and your images, why you related it. A few of you related it to your personal lives or to the book. A few of you. Fantastic, okay? So that's the big thing about justification. Number one, you always want to justify your answer, okay? Because remember, this is English, this is your interpretation of a piece of text. There's no technically wrong answer, right? As long as you can support it with evidence, okay? Making that connection either to your life or to another piece of text, whatever it is. Now, I also want to point out, you guys are the politest group of grade 10s I have ever met, like ever, all right? It was a love fest. You guys love each other, okay? Which is fantastic. But there's a caveat here, all right? There's a caveat. I want you to push your boundaries because complimenting each other and saying your pleases and thank yous is not a conversation. It's just a love fest. Right? I want you, and I think I'm going to go back and point out in Paige, I think it was you. I think it was Paige that said this. I'm just going to scroll back. I think it was Paige that mentioned it, and I was like, thank you, Paige. Paige said that. She said everyone supported each other really well, but there was no real conversation going on, right? It was, here's my image and quote, here's how I justify it, and then everyone said, great job. Right? But Caitlin, Kate, that's awesome. That's awesome that you were noticing that. But that's what I wanted you to notice when it was your chance, right? In the second half, right? I wanted you to observe, and if that was something that you were observing, right, that's what I wanted you to write down. Okay, and that's okay. That's good, and I'm glad. Yeah, and Caitlin T, thank you. There was no criticism, which is fine, but sometimes it's fun to play the devil's advocate too, right? Like, no, I don't totally agree with you, and you can learn those skills and do it in a polite way, right? So that you learn how to debate with each other, how to have opposing views, and how do you deal with that, right? That's real life. You need these skills. You're not going to walk around the rest of your life saying, thank you, thank you. I know, thank you. Right? So I want you guys to start now conversing. I know, Val. I should have actually started with showing you guys that video. There's a great new video about, there's like a Canadian, I think it's BMO. The bank has this new ad out, and they're like in a coffee shop in a lineup. And it's the two guys fighting over who's going to pay for coffee. And they just keep interacting each other, the money back and forth, right? Because they're Canadian and they just, yeah. So now what we're going to do is switch roles. So the biggest phrase that I love from, this is a great strategy, you guys, because what happened is you chose fantastic quotes and images. Nobody dug deeper. Dean was on the verge. Right at the end of the conversation. Dean made a comment and I was like, yes, Dean, awesome comment. I need somebody. I'm just going back to the conversation, you guys. Okay, so Dean picked up, he said, I agree with you, Alex. The more you think or meditate about the problems you are facing, the more your hole gets dug deeper. And nobody commented on that. And in my brain, I'm like, ooh, and I wanted to say, Dean, what makes you say that? Why? What makes you say that? Right? That's one of the most powerful statements to get you thinking deeper, on a deeper level. What makes you say that? Okay? Why did you make that connection? Tell me more about. Okay? These are all conversation starters and strategies to get you guys thinking deeper and get a conversation going. Okay? So for the first time, I'm not going to poo-poo you guys because that was good. Believe me, I love all of the love fest that went on. It was super cute to watch. Now what we're going to do though is now, right? Yeah, so Dean and I would continue on. What makes you say that, right? I would just continue on. You don't have to answer that, Dean, if you don't want to. But now what we're going to do is now we are going to switch roles. So my outer circle, right? Yeah, and that's totally fine, Jessica. Yep, because you're going to make a different connection, right? And maybe you found a different image as well. So that's totally fine. You guys, see, remember I said that some of you would actually find the same quote, and that's totally fine, but you're going to interpret it completely different. Don't be scared, Paige. This is a safe spot. And everybody loves you, Paige. Look at our group. We love each other. So what we're going to do, we're going to switch, right? So the outer circle is now going to become the inner circle, and the inner circle, you don't get to say anything. The other inner circle is now going to the outer circle, right? So where did I make the split? Between Emily and Jessica, I think, right? Is that where I made the split, or Dylan and Emily? Wherever I made the split, okay? So the bottom half of the participant list, you guys are now my inner circle, okay? And the top half of my participant list, you guys are my outer circle. Outer circle, you don't get to say anything until the end, okay? Okay, inner circle, you guys are the ones conversing. So now give me a second because I'm going to put up a new page for you guys. I'm still going to put up 30 minutes on the timer, okay? And I want to see what kind of conversation, okay? So Caitlin, so you have 30 minutes, okay? So hopefully, and remember, it doesn't have to be the perfect image. It just needs to be an image, Caitlin, that represents. I'm not marking you on what image you found, all right? So, inner circle, you now have 30 minutes to put up your image and quote on the whiteboard and have a conversation. All right? Let's get started. All right. So I wanted to come back. Jessica, Paige, if you are finishing off, please feel free to finish off your thoughts there and post them into the room. I don't want to cut you off at all. So now we're going to continue on with the process. All right. So now the inner circle had their chance to continue on those conversations. The outer circle, what did you find about the process the second time around? All right. So, good, Jess. So now we're going to switch, and in the room, let's take 5 minutes. The outer circle, it's now your chance to comment on the process again. All right. So go ahead, let's take 5 minutes and comment on the process, and then we'll do a big debrief about everything. All right. So take 5 minutes, you guys, go ahead. Okay, excellent. So everyone contributed during that conversation. Fantastic. What I noticed, and thank you to my outside circle for making some actual really good observations this time around. I think we saw a little bit of a increase in our conversations. I still think we can go deeper. All right, I still think we can go deeper. I think it was Kyla posted a question and then posted a really good question actually, and nobody jumped on it. So that either tells me that you guys aren't going back and like actually reading what everyone's writing, right? Which is part of, in our setting, that's like your listening skills, right? That sort of thing. Or you guys just missed the question because it was scrolling through so fast. But I want you to take the time to make sure you go back, read everyone's posts and read their comments, right? Otherwise you will miss some really deep, engaging questions, okay? Yeah, so I think everyone started, there was a little bit more conversation. No one used my prompt, right? What makes you say that? Or, you know, tell me more about, right? No one picked up on that, okay? It is in there, Caitlin. I saw it and I was like, yes, here we go. This is going to be awesome. And then nobody picked up on the question. So there was glimpses of people trying to get the conversation going, and then it didn't happen. So next time, and we're going to do this whole process again with the second half of the novel, you guys. So you still have more chance to work on our skills. Okay? Yeah, absolutely, Alexis. So, the other thing that I really want to reiterate as well was, and I'll get to that in a second, Caitlin, was, okay, so you pose a question, you kind of start a conversation, but then we don't tie it back into the novel where it all started, right? Like, so the conversations go off, but then we don't relate it back to the novel. And that's where that big like justification piece comes in, right? I think one of the questions was, Caitlin and Jess, was something about the image. Why did everyone choose the image that they did? Like, what were their thoughts and feelings behind choosing the image? Is that right, Kyla? Something like that. Yeah. And then no one jumped on it. I think Paige had asked a really good question too. Yeah, I think Paige had asked a question. I can't remember what it was, but again. So, yes, you don't have to answer it now, you guys. That's totally fine. So interesting first try at a Socratic circle, you guys. It was actually not bad. I was a little nervous. I think we're okay, but I think there's some next steps. I think there's some growth that can occur in our conversations. All right, in going deeper, we are risk takers. Hi, Virtual 5 to all of you. All right, so now before we actually go into the reflection aspect and kind of tie up class, you guys, I want to make sure that we have a clear understanding of what is for homework. Because next day, what we're going to do is basically repeat the process of what we've done over the last 2 classes next class with the second half of the book. So for homework, you have to read your section so that we can do the plot analysis and all of that again next class, right? So I'm just going to get out of here, you guys, and go into, if you scroll down into second half. Oh, I've lost my connection here, Merle. Something's going on.
It's your laptop.
It's my laptop. Of course it is. Okay. So what I'm going to do is explain to you. If you guys go into, and I've opened it up, the second half of the Boy in the Striped Pajamas, the second half of the novel, you will see a chart, just like you did for the first half, of which section you need to read, what 3 to 4 chapters you need to read. It is for homework that you have those chapters read by Thursday. All right, so that we can do the plot analysis and stuff next day. And then we'll do our second Socratic Circle on Tuesday next week. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? Will you be able to find, give me a green check mark. Yeah, okay, good. All right, now, before you leave the classroom though, okay, this is what I want for you guys, okay? This is what else is kind of for homework. It's a quick write, okay? In the online text box, in the assignment, in Socratic Circle number 1, okay? I want you to answer the following prompt. What did you think of the process today? What did you think of Socratic circles? Did you enjoy it? Did you find it difficult? What did you get out of it? And I'm going to actually add on to that. What are our next steps to make our Socratic circles better or more engaging? Okay? Or to get us communicating at a deeper level. Okay, so next steps also needs to be in there. All right, so for homework, you need to complete this online text. Okay, and then we also need to read your chapters. Dean, I don't know what you're talking about. What document? Oh, did I put in a rubric in there, you guys? Okay, give me a second. I know my computer, it's gonna, just wait. I know you guys can't see it. But let me go see. Did I? Oh, just wait. Oh, yeah. Yes, please. Okay, so listen up, you guys. Yes, Jocelyn. We need to download and fill out the rubric. If you guys go into Socratic Circle number 1, right, you'll see down there under Submit for Marking, you'll see a rubric that you guys need to download, and I want you to highlight. It's a self-assessment where you guys think you are, okay? On the assignment, oh, you're right, it doesn't say anything in there. So I will go in, you guys, and put the prompt, this prompt, in the assignment as well, okay, so that you guys can get that answered for me. And I will add the other question that you're answering, okay, Alexis, in there. All right, so Kyla, remember you need to go into the second half of the novel, the assignment in the second half of the novel, okay, and find your name. What group are you in? And you'll see which chapters you need to read. All right. Belle, there's a self-assessment in Socratic Circle number 1 that I want you to fill out. It's a rubric, and you're just going to highlight where you are. All right. So you've got the rubric that you need to submit and the online text quick write for today. For homework, you need to read your chapters for the second half of the novel. All right. Are we clear? Give me green check marks, please. Way easier for me to see green check marks than you guys writing yes in the text, because then I can visually see. Jocelyn, if you are not clear, please ask a question, or you just hit the wrong mark. Good. Emily, are you clear? Okay. Like you can't download it, or you just can't find it? Lindsay, are you clear what you need to do? So the quick write, Angelina, is going in the online text box. Okay. So Jocelyn, there's 2 things that you can do. You can either print out the rubric to highlight, because I think it's probably a PDF, so you can't write all over it, right? It's not a Word document. Or, and if you don't have a printer, you guys, if you can't print it out and highlight, that's okay. Along in the online text box, type out where you think you are on that rubric. Okay, Jocelyn, does that make sense? Yes, Angelina, that's in the Socratic Circle assignment. I think it's called Socratic Circle number 1. All right, we are clear. Everyone looks good. Okay, awesome. So we are done, ladies and gentlemen, 20 minutes early. Whoop, whoop. All right, so lots of time to read and get your assignment done, okay? So we will see you guys on Thursday. Fantastic job. You did fantastic. I only see growth ahead of us. All right, bye, you guys.